It's Thursday, January 10. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has defended the timing of the declaration of the dengue fever outbreak in the country. Dr. Tufton used the platform of Tuesday's sitting of the House of Representatives to address what he termed as misconceptions in the public regarding the declaration.
One of the things I've heard in the public discourse, and we welcome public discussion around this very important issue, is that the government, and more specifically myself and the Ministry of Health, neglected to describe or to claim an outbreak long before when we did, which was the 3rd of January 2019. And I just want to make it clear for the record that you cannot declare an outbreak unless the clinical definition of an outbreak is achieved. And the definition based on our historical data is outlined on that graph. Mr. Speaker, it has implications because declaring an outbreak requires us to report to PAHO WHO. It has implications for advisories about traveling to the country, so implications for the tourism industry, and I could go on and on. So it is not just calling a number or describing an outbreak if the definition is not met.
Speaking in the House of Representatives, Dr. Tufton said while the Health Ministry was concerned with the growing number of dengue cases, declaring an outbreak must meet internationally held threshold.
We have to comply with the international standards, even while we create the awareness that is necessary to confront this issue. We cannot create panic in the society. Right. We cannot posture in a way that creates the impression that Jamaica is not open for business, that persons should not think of Jamaica. We cannot posture in a way, Mr. Speaker, that breach the international standards of when outbreaks are declared.
Opposition Health spokesperson Dr. Dayton Campbell chided Dr. Tufton for the ministry's response leading up to the outbreak.
If your Minister of Health is warned that there's going to be a dengue outbreak, there's a 300% increase in the number of cases. Persons have died, and your children's hospital is overflowing, that you have to be making arrangements to move them elsewhere. Are you satisfied with your minister not doing everything that is possible, taking the proactive approach to prevent the outbreak as opposed to try to contain one? Had it been that the minister who suggested that he is for consultation, had it been that he had called in the opposition and the other stakeholders to say, this is the threshold, we're not there yet, but with 300% increase, with X amounts of deaths, this is what we're going to do. We're going to mobilize these resources, both financial and otherwise. He would have been fully supported.
In his defense, Dr. Tufton said the ministry had in fact ramped up their response to counter the threat.
In terms of response, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Health has intensified its activities for dengue since as far back as July 2018. When we launched the Enhanced Vector Control Program with the start of recruitment and training for some 1,000 temporary workers to conduct mosquito search and destroy efforts and public education at the community level. So, Mr. Speaker, again, it has been said that we only decided to take action when we declared an outbreak, and that's not the case.
In the meantime, the country continues to wrestle with the outbreak. The administration of Victoria Jubilee Hospital is reporting that the security guard was absent from his post at the time a newborn was reportedly abducted from the institution Wednesday morning. The baby was found missing about 5 o'clock. Elise Fairweather Blackwood, Director of Nursing Services at Victoria Jubilee, told RDR News 2 security guards were stationed at different points on the ward. However, when the nurse went to report the child was missing, the guard at the exit was not at his post. Colleen Wright, Chief Executive Officer of the Victoria Jubilee Hospital, explained that no mother is allowed to leave the facility with a baby unless she is in possession of a discharge slip, which should coincide with the armbands on the mother and child. There was no closed-circuit television camera at the hospital at the time of the incident. The hospital on Wednesday started preparations to have the cameras installed. The police have been asked to launch an investigation into Orchard Solutions Limited by the Office of the Contractor General in relation to a case of fraud. The commission said a probe found that the company submitted a forged National Contracts Commission registration letter when it applied for a contract to supply street and flooding lamp fixtures to Petrojam in 2016. It was concluded that Orchard Solutions Limited was not registered with the NCC during the period December 2, 2013 to May 29, 2015. During the tender process, Petrojam asked the OCG to undertake a verification exercise. The National Works Agency has initiated an internal review into the events of October 23, 2018 and November 12, 2018, which led to the flooding of parts of Marcus Garvey Drive and Mandela Highway. This was disclosed by Prime Minister Andrew Holness during a sitting of the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The flooding left a large number of the commuting public stranded for several hours and resulted in the closure of two main arteries of commerce in the island.
The preliminary findings, as indicated by the NWA, is that in the case of the Mandela Highway, heavy rainfalls led to the temporary blocking of a drain compounded by roadworks being undertaken in the vicinity, which caused localized flooding. Works were undertaken to clear the blocked drain and create new channels in the vicinity of the intersection to facilitate a freer flow of water from the improved roadway. Preliminary findings indicate that the drains in the vicinity of the Tinson Pen Aerodrome are under capacity, meaning that they are small compared to the volume of water that comes into them. They are under capacity for the 100-year event and for the 50-year event.
The Prime Minister said that while drain maintenance is critical, it cannot be seen as a panacea or long-term solution to these issues. He added that the report from the NWA will be tabled in the lower house.
Mr. Speaker, it is to be noted that while drain maintenance, meaning drain cleaning, which we did a significant amount of that in December, and almost all MPs would have utilized the program with great effect. Whilst that is important, we all have to agree that that is not the panacea, nor is it the solution for the problems that we face. Work will have to be undertaken under a major infrastructure JDIP type program to effect the necessary design and construction of newer, larger drains.
The Peace Management Initiative, PMI, is expected to benefit from funds raised at this year's staging of the National Leadership Prayer Breakfast, which is scheduled for January 17. Chairman of the National Leadership Prayer Breakfast Committee, Reverend Stanley Clark, speaking at Tuesday's press briefing at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in Kingston, said the funds will go towards PMI's Violence Prevention Safe Schools project. The purpose of the Safe Schools Monitors program is to provide greater security and support to pedestrian students traveling home from school in the Kingston Central Police Division. Scotiabank Jamaica and the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union will resume discussions on the bank's job transition plans next Thursday, January 17. BITU President Senator Cavan Gale says the last meeting on the issues with the bank's management, the union made a number of proposals, including a request for a comprehensive human resource audit for the entire group. He said that it would help to ascertain vacancies in the financial group. The union has claimed that as many as 100 staff members could be affected by the transitional plans for Jamaica. The BITU is claiming that the bank should have included its members in discussions on the process of transition prior to the announcements. Motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the price of gasoline and diesel today. According to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam, 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $117.23 and $120.07 per litre respectively, up by 48 cents each. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $125.26 per litre, following an increase of 54 cents, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is up by 57 cents and will be sold for $128.64 per litre. Meanwhile, kerosene increased in price by 55 cents and will be sold for $103.98 per litre. Do remember, marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. The US dollar on January 9 ended trading at Jamaica $129.57, up by 10 cents. The Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary shows the Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $98.09, down from Jamaican $99.58, while the British pound sterling ended trading at $161.33, down from $166.16. In regional news, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris Wednesday held cordial and productive discussions with officials of the Trinidad-based Republic Financial Holdings Limited and representatives of Scotiabank regarding the move to acquire Scotiabank operations in several Caribbean countries. Last November, the RFHL announced that it was seeking to acquire Scotiabank operations even as Antigua and Barbuda and Guyana have expressed reservations about the proposed acquisition, with St. John's indicating that it would not be issuing a vesting order in order to facilitate the move. RFHL statement said that the banks being acquired are located in Guyana, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In sports, Christopher Tufton, President and Chief Executive Officer of Sagicor Group Jamaica, has predicted a massive turnout for this year's staging of the Sagicor Sigma Corporate Run, as it seeks to raise $52 million for 3 local organizations. The event, set for February 17, will be seeking funds this year for the Maypen Hospital Neonatal Unit, the Diabetes Association of Jamaica, and Lupus Foundation of Jamaica. The organization is aiming to host more than 30,000 participants, well above last year's 26,000. In cricket, legendary former captain Clive Lloyd has lamented the snubbing of fellow West Indies icon Desmond Haynes for the post of men's head coach, as it says it is unfortunate that great former players continue to be ignored for the position. Speaking in the wake of the controversial appointment of Englishman Richard Pybus, Lloyd said that West Indies cricket had tried foreign coaches over the years without much success and needed to tap into the talents of homegrown stars. Lloyd, a former Windies manager and chief selector, said the West Indies cricket was suffering from a lack of strategic planning. West Indies are preparing to take on England in a full series of 3 tests, 5 one-day internationals and 3 2020 internationals in the Caribbean. The opening test bowls off at Kensington Oval in Barbados on January 23. And that's the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Pleasant viewing.